What's up, guys? Welcome to Among the Fence, my YouTube channel where I do music reviews. My name is Aaron, and if you happen to be into deathcore, metalcore, and death metal, heavy metal, pretty much all things metal, I like to encourage you to subscribe, ring the bell icon, that way you don't miss out on any of my future videos. And if you have anything you want me to check out, go ahead and leave a comment below letting me know what that is, and it'll be featured on an upcoming Request Wednesday. But for today's review, we're going to be checking out the new single, Clean, by the band Rivers of Nihil. This past week, Rivers of Nihil released their first single off of an upcoming album titled The Work. For those of you who don't know, they are a technical death metal band from Pennsylvania, started around 2009, and The Work is their fourth studio album. And this band, they didn't really come into their own until they released their last album titled Where Owls Know My Name, which was the third review I ever did on this channel, and I believe it was the second requested video that I ever did, and it very quickly became my favorite album. It's probably like my top 10 favorite albums of all time, and these guys are like my top 5 favorite bands of all time now. So I've been very not really patiently waiting for new music from these guys. I've been looking on Instagram quite often hoping for something, and finally they started releasing hints of it. So yeah, I was pretty excited for this one. If I had to guess what Clean was about, I probably would say religion. I'm probably completely wrong though. I'm just going off of the first couple lines where it says, I want your money, your time, I want your patience, and your pride, which is something that churches get kind of a bad rap for. They always want your money, and it's just, yeah, there's a lot of corrupt churches out there, and unfortunately those are usually the churches that are in the spotlight, more or less. But after a couple more listens to this song, I would say that this is actually probably about somebody spending most of their life working and giving all of your life and your body and your mind just dedicated to a job. Because if you think about it, throughout life, we spend most of our time working and pursuing this career, and we find meaning in it, while at the same time there isn't really a whole lot of meaning in most of the stuff that we do. Unless if you're like a doctor or doing something very noble, saving lives. But a lot of times we're just like, we work our way up to be a manager of like, I don't know, a Zoomies or something like that. And you just don't get appreciated. You spend most of your hours working for minimum wage, which is accumulating like, an hour of your life is only worth $13 an hour or something. So yeah, it can kind of go either way in my mind, but after listening to it more, I kind of feel like it's more of the latter. Clean starts off with the eerie piano passage, at least I'm assuming it's a piano, that is then replaced with a guitar as the drums and the vocals come in, all of which are extremely powerful. And the emotion in the vocals shows signs of exhaustion and frustration, and it's communicated very well. Just the cadence it has, it's almost like you can imagine this person, the narrator, like staring at themselves in a mirror, just expressing all this, kind of breaking down in a way too. The verse tones things down quite a bit, with the vocals taking a little bit more of a backseat in the mix, while the guitar and the drums kind of keep things moving forward. But when that guitar riff comes back in, it's just so good. It hits so hard. It's very dark. And it gives a sense of not like impending doom, but like inevitable doom. Like if you've ever seen Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers, it's like when they're sitting at one of the castles and they're waiting for the army to come and attack them, and they just see this army coming up over the hill, and it's bigger and bigger and bigger, and it's bigger than they could have ever anticipated. That's kind of like the sense that you get. Like doom is coming, and there's nothing you can really do to stop it. It's just here, and it's knocking at your door kind of thing. And the vocal cadence with it is perfect as well, because you get the guitar riff and the vocals come in, which the guitar riff is still going, so you get like the perfect mashup of the two, and then the vocals cut out, and then you just have that guitar riff. It's so good. The layer vocals in what I'm assuming is the chorus are also very gnarly as well. There's highs, mids, and lows, but they all kind of break through all at different times. And the music resembles what is basically a breakdown. I mean, there's tons of double bass, and there's a lot of breathing room. And the buildup going into it, and then the transition out of it, is very abrupt, yet smooth at the same time. It fits into the song so well, and it's a perfect climax at the same time. The second verse is basically the same as the first, but it has this synth buildup in it instead of like the eerie guitar in the background, and the synth reminds me a lot of Pink Floyd's Welcome to the Machine off of their Wish You Were Here album, or maybe even Sheep off of their Animals album. And it's not the first time I picked up on a Pink Floyd reference. There's different things trickled all throughout where Owls Know My Name, like in the guitar solos and just the different interludes that they have. Even some of the song structures kind of remind me of Pink Floyd. And it might be one of the reasons why I love this band so much. And even if all this is just in my head, that's where it matters most. The guitar solo afterwards keeps the atmosphere dark and melancholy by being slow and kind of bluesy in a way, or at least it's slow at first until the drums start to pick up. And then it feels like it's forcing the guitar solo to become more aggressive and agitated. It's basically preparing us for another pre-chorus thing. Every time the riff comes in and the vocals come at you, it demands your attention. Kind of like in the movie Independence Day. I realize this is my second movie reference, but just bear with me on this one. When Will Smith goes walking out of his house to get the newspaper, and everybody's running around panicking, and he's looking at it, and he slowly looks up and he sees the UFO in front of him, basically hovering over all of Los Angeles, and he gets that inevitable doom feeling, and it's terrifying, but he just can't take his eyes off of it. That's kind of how this chorus feels to me, and I think a lot of that has to do with the fantastic drum work and also the bass tone as well that really gives this song a lot of its rhythm and just foundation. It just keeps the song moving so smoothly. Compared to their past work, I would say that Clean is a little bit more polished. Like where Owls Know My Name felt like a really mature album, but this is even more so. Like this sounds like a veteran death metal band that's releasing their 10th studio album, not their 4th studio album. And it's really hard to do that because there's different sections of this song that all sound completely different from each other. And for a technical death metal band to do that, where like every instrument is basically running at full throttle throughout like most of the song, it's really hard not to overly complicate things, make everything sound basically the same. Like if I played the first verse for about like maybe 20 seconds, stopped it, and then skipped ahead and just played the chorus, you'd probably have no clue that this is all part of the same song. But it just works. They did it. They mashed it all together through a brilliant atmosphere and fantastic emotion. I would also say that's part of their downfall, is that the quieter, more atmospheric parts, it's going to be kind of boring to some people, specifically newer listeners or even people who want that full throttle experience. Like in their past album, their first single to be released off of it was The Silent Life, which is a little bit more aggressive, more in your face. It's pretty heavy. It's got just tons of chugging throughout it. The vocals just cut through. Like the second verse, the vocals go all the way through, and it's very powerful feeling. And this, I guess it just has a more mature feeling. It's a little bit slower. They're taking their time with it. They're not in a hurry. They're focused more on the emotion as opposed to the technical, aggressive aspect of their music. And to me, honestly, it's pure beauty. The first time I listened to it, I gotta admit, it was a little underwhelming. But then the more and more I listened to it, specifically when I was writing up the review, the more I got into it, the more I fell in love with it, started to really understand what they were trying to do. So yeah, if you listen to this once, you're probably not going to like it, but just keep giving it another try. And if you're into this style of music, it will definitely grow on you. So with all that said, I got to give Clean by Rivers of Nihil a 4.3 out of 5. It was really hard for me not to give this a 5 out of 5 because even those slower, atmospheric, boring parts, they were just so good to me. It's so easy to get lost into it, especially the more and more I listened to it, the more it just started to draw me in, and I just could not get enough. But I want to know what you guys think. If you've listened to Clean, go ahead and leave a comment below letting me know what you thought. If you haven't, I'm going to leave a link for it down in the description below. Go ahead and give it a listen and let me know what you would rate it. And if you enjoyed this review, don't forget to give it a like. If you want to see more and help support my channel, don't forget to subscribe, ring the bell icon. Leave a comment below letting me know what I should review for Request Wednesday. And I hope you guys all have a good rest of your day or night whenever you happen to be watching this. And I'll talk to you guys next time. I was